Hello and welcome to Berardi and Coke. This is the Preston North End Leeds Berardi and Coke. We are having our final say on all things game on Saturday. I'm joined by Gilly. How's it going, man?
Yeah, all right. Could be worse.
Yeah?
Nice and alive.
Oh, good. Good. Just, yeah. All dead on the couch there on Sunday. That's the way it goes. Yeah, look, we'll get into the game in a second, right after this.
Hi, this is Don Matteo, and you are listening to the Ought to Know Better podcast. Let's do this.
Leeds are shit.
We're recording, you know.
Oh, shit.
We had a good start. I don't think we've got the personnel.
You can fucking laugh all you want, you absolute bellend.
I think about things, that's why you lot are idiots.
A melted version of a dick that's been shrink wrapped.
The absolute elite shithousery of this.
Yeah, good evening, man. We'll talk about shithousery in a little bit. We'll get into the whole 2 foot in the ref because, you know, there's no chance you're going to get sent off for it. So we'll get into that in a little while. Evening, Steve Brown. How's it going, man? Yeah, I think Danny Talk Sports in the comment there. How are you getting on, Danny? Nice to see you. Herbert, good evening. Brian, how's it going? I'm doing everything I can here to try and avoid talking about this game, really. Gilly, what are your kind of overall thoughts? Give us an hour rundown as opposed to, you know, one particular area.
Yeah, it's same old more than anything else. I think we've seen it all before, haven't we? Especially when it comes to the away games. It's very much it's almost like they know we're too predictable and they know how we're going to play. If you let us have a lot of the ball, we're often not going to be particularly incisive and damage the opposition. And yet we are quite vulnerable on the break. So if you get into a move of transition where we recycle the ball really well, but if you win the ball on the edge of your box, we look instantly, whether it's just us as fans because we've seen it before, or whether it's genuine, is a different matter. But we look so vulnerable on the break when somebody's breaking against us that it just seems so predictable. And I think that there were a lot of comments very, very early on in the game saying, well, we can see it already. It's going to be one of those games. And one of those games usually would be a 1-0 defeat. So we may have taken a point there that people didn't think we were going to get at that point in the game. But
Yeah,
it's so poor to be so on top, but look so toothless in attack at times. And really, when you're dominating a side and you've got so much of the ball and so much of the momentum swings your way, it's very disappointing not to come away with all three.
Again, they nullified us very well. You have to give credit to Preston North End there, to be fair. They nullified our attack quite well. They let us have the ball out wide where they knew they were just going to double up and then just absolutely swamped the middle because, like you said, we're a bit predictable away from home. I don't know what it is about at home. We seem to be able to vary it up a little bit, but around, you know, away from home, it just seems a little bit, you know.
We cannot deal with a team that shithouses. We just can't do it. You know, Preston literally cheated against us, and it were almost like we'd gone, well, they're doing that. Okay. Rather than doing something about it, getting in their faces. You know, our defence, less so rode on, but our defence was bullied by their attack, who had very little of the ball. It was like watching, who were it that used to play against, alongside Sean Gregan? Who were it for us? Both at centre-back. Massive tankers turning, the pair of them. Paul Butler.
Paul Butler.
Watching Strike and Osmajic, watching them both run after the ball were like watching the pair of them on the turn. It were awful. And, you know, they were both running in treacle. But you've got done by possibly the slowest striker in the division. And then he's picked out a pass. All right, there, guys, shinned it, but fucking hell, it's gone straight through Meliotti's front post, and it all feels very
common,
predictable. It's just we've seen it before.
Yeah, Bryn makes a very good point here, which I think a lot of us, myself included, have failed to mention. I don't get why our fullbacks invert away but stay wide at home. Why the change? That's a very good point. It's not something we can answer really. It's just something Fark does. I don't know why, but it is something that maybe they work on in training. I don't know, but I still think James coming in and leaving a fullback out wide is far better for us shape wise and stuff like that than having the inverted fullbacks away from home. What do you think of that, Gilly?
It is a fair shout, and I think when you consider that in a Fark side, the width comes from the fullbacks. I know that Breen is annoyed about Bogle existing and about Firpo playing for us, but when you get right down to it, they've been brought in, and the style of gameplay that they represent, so that we can get width from the fullbacks, because that's what he wants. He wants them to get forward and he wants them to be effective in attack. They have to do a bit of defending. Sometimes they're not quite up to that. Sometimes they get called ball watching, don't they, Carl?
Sometimes.
But the reason that if you look at passages of play, the reason that Tanaka and Rothwell are often so deep is because the fullbacks have gone forward. So doing that without providing the width seems counterintuitive. What's the benefit there? All they're doing is going into a position that the midfielders dropped out of to cover them. It's like, why do that? Rodon were at right back for a lot of the game. It's like, that's nowhere he's effective. If he's got the ball, I want him coming into the middle and laying it off to a midfielder. If Strout's got the ball, I want him giving it to Rodon so that Rodon can take it into midfield and drop it off to a midfielder.
Yeah.
They're not players that you want to see at fullback. They're just not. And if the fullbacks are compressing the midfield or what have you, I don't see the benefit when the midfielders have to drop out of there to allow them to do that.
Yeah. It's detriment to how we play. Like Scooby says here in the comments, he's like, Ellen Road traditionally is on the large side pitch-wise. One possible reason. There is that, but you can still look at making the pitch as wide as you can anyway, with your fullbacks. And I think even if it is a narrower pitch that we play on sometimes away from home, I think why change the formation when we can still be effective by getting the fullbacks out wide? I'm a little perplexed as to how it keeps happening, and it seems to be just away from home. Now, I wanted to kind of just briefly touch on our away record at the moment. We've only lost 2 and drawn 7 or 8 and won 1, I think. Now, when you think about it, that's still not a bad away record to have only lost 2 games, right? And
Can that put us mid-table though compared to everybody else? Are we like 10th in away league?
Possibly, yeah, but that's because we've got a lot of draws. It's not from the amount of losses that we're accumulating,
It's still points dropped, isn't it, in this division?
It is. But I was on Joe Wyman's show after the game on Saturday afternoon, and I can't remember who made the point, but I said the same thing a few times here, where if we win our home games and draw our away games, that should do it. And the way that works out, it works out at 2 points a game. And that's what you need to get promoted.
We didn't get promoted with 2 points a game last season.
I know, but we lost more away than we did this season so far. That's
so just to touch on that pitch width, because I've just had a very quick look.
Okay.
Elland Road is 105 metres by 68 metres. So 68 metres wide. And Deepdale is 101 metres by 70 metres. So it's 2 metres wider than Elland Road.
Okay, there we go then.
And the reason that I went to check that is because I was genuinely interested in what the outcome would be. But secondly, if you remember when we were going to Wembley, we were all going, Wembley's pitch is massive. Sometimes you just get a perception that a pitch is bigger, and it can be all sorts of things that gives you that impression. I did expect Preston's to be smaller. I think it's now much smaller, but it's actually wider, which is a bit of a surprise to me. But I think it goes more to the setup. There's a couple of comments I've already said. It's more around the setup that the opposition employ. That maybe we don't need the same sort of width, because you might see a side in a mid block, or rather than just sitting dead deep and trying to just front up that way. But either way, we've got a way of playing, and for us to change our way of playing and it not work in such a big way. And I get the point that you're making about we've not lost many games, but we haven't won many games. And if you look at the difference between home form and away form, it's night and day. Surely you're thinking, hang on a minute, if our form at home is putting us top of the league, and our form in the away fixtures, especially the last 6, because the away fixtures for this season might be 7th to 10th or whatever, but the last 6 are probably worse than that. So I think, from my perspective, if it's night and day, surely you're thinking, maybe there's something in this. Maybe we need to employ the tactics that are giving us so much benefit at home. Maybe we need to try a bit of that way, because it is really different, I think. No,
it is, and you can see it. Like, I know Jay comes in from the game and he sits in the pub and he has a pint and he's bored, but like it's not the worst style of football we're playing either, you know what I mean? And if we can try and force that on teams away from home, then I don't see why we're bothering with this inverted fullbacks thing. If the pitch is wider at Deepdale as well, why not do it? Like, impose yourself on the team you're playing. Play like you're playing at Ellen Road. I don't understand why. Like, I get it, sometimes in the Premier League you go to an away team like, say, Arsenal, and you just try and hope for the bloody best. Like, but when you're like one of the top 2 teams, if not the top team in the division, you need to be imposing yourself on games, especially away from home, where people think, oh yeah, we know Leeds are muck away from home. Well, like, start imposing yourself more on the game. Start using the tactics that we use and work wonders. Like, what are we, 7 or 8 wins at home on the bounce now? And it's like, why can't we just do that? Like,
yeah, and it's one of those where if we are so good, albeit at home, but if we are so good, why worry so much about what the opposition are going to do?
Yeah.
Because it almost puts you in that mindset of being negative right from the outset. Now, if we get one in front against Preston, I'm thinking, right, I've said 3-1 here. I'm reasonably confident that I'm going to get at least 3 points. Could even get 5 if they pox a goal. But if they get in front, you're thinking, fucking hell, this is going to be a long game. And that's the pattern of it, because when you dominate possession so much, but the away side, the opposition are set up to counter that and to play that way, they get their nose in front, they just try to kill the game. And then it's just a shit game. But we don't seem to be able to counter it.
Yeah, it's a difficult one as well, because like, there's a comment there from Danny, which I was going to mention prior to him. It's down to mentality of the players as well. I think they just need to turn up to win. And like, I get it, yeah, when you're a team as good as us, you can turn up sometimes with that mentality, but you still have to put the fucking grind in on it, like, you know what I mean? And it's okay to have that mentality. I think a winning, we can beat anybody mentality is a great thing for a squad to have. It's controlling the arrogance of having that mentality going into games and just doing what you do well, and do it like you do it at home. It's as simple as that. Like, we're a very, very, very good side at home. Regardless of what people will say, Southampton or the bleeding Portsmouth or Burn. Don't care. They're like, first day of the season, we always knew it was going to be some form of fuck up. Everyone walked into that ground going, this is just going to be a mad game because it's Portsmouth and they've just been promoted. And then Burnley was a slip. Nothing we could have done about that. We peppered them for the best part of 90 minutes nearly. And we just didn't get anything out of it. Their keeper, he had a fantastic game in that game as well, to be fair to him. There was a couple of, high balls in where he went toe-to-toe with our strikers and everything and bustled them out of the way. But
yeah, and Sunderland was an abhorrent anomaly.
Yeah, that's the thing as well. Like, so we kind of have to look at it, but
still,
we can be frustrated.
That's a run. That is a run, and we'll come on to the game, I'm sure. I know you keep skirting around it, but at some point we're going to have to talk about it, I'm afraid. The amount of stick that that have been aimed at our strikers. So Pirot was largely absent, I think it's fair to say. Joseph's had one good effort on goal that was saved. It was similar to the Ramazani effort that the keeper dived to his left to save. But if you consider Joseph's attempt at a kind of half-back heel and Bamford's attempt at a half-back heel, Bamford's been absolutely pilloried for it, although he got a touch and was unlucky to see it dribble past the post. And Joseph missed it completely because the defender scored an own goal. Everybody's going, well, it's Joseph that's done that. And it's like, it's a little bit mad that hitting the ball and not scoring is seen as being worse than missing the ball completely, either on principle of the fact that it's Bamford or on principle of the fact that the defender scored an own goal. Whatever it is, it's poor from them both, but one of them seems to get a free pass. I don't know if you've seen it, but John Newsom's actually commented today saying we need a 9 under 10 because nobody has nailed down those positions. We need a 9 to come in and score goals, and we need a 10, and we need a 9 to come in and score goals and run beyond the defence because it's almost like we don't have somebody that's doing. Everybody's dropping deep. Yeah. Everybody's dropping in to get the ball to feet. That's definitely Pirot's game. He's not going to run last man. Joseph does it a bit. Bamford did it, but he's not reliable. Fitness wise, and he's not on form and whatever else. But for him to also say, after we've started one person in the 10 almost all season, that nobody's nailed down 9 or 10 goes to show just how bad Aronson is. And I think that I can't be on a B&C having watched him fuck up again and again without mentioning it. I think the spine was poor. Outside of the midfield, where Rothwell and Tanaka weren't as good as they have been, but they weren't. You wouldn't say they were poor. Pirot was missing. Aronson was absolutely diabolically bad. Struijk was awful. Rodon bailed him out on more than one occasion. Again, and then I didn't think either fullback played particularly well either. So when you add all of that up, it's all on the wingers again, and Dan James is playing really well. For me, it was my man of the match. I thought he played really well. Nonto wasn't as effective as you're hoping he's going to be, but he played all right. And when they came on, Ramazani and Solomon looked well. They looked good. But that's the threat. Almost the entire threat's coming from the wing.
Yeah, again, it goes back to Aronson just not being the 10 that we need at the minute. I think Aronson, I'm trying not to slate him too much because it's not from lack of, wanting to do the right things. He's just, again, I repeat myself, his development went completely down the toilet when he left last summer. Last year was the chance for him to actually get his feet under the table and develop as a player. And he's not done anything close to that in Germany. Inconsistent games, not getting enough minutes, absolutely hampered him. And I feel he's trying to prove to people that he wants to be here. And I think that's to his detriment. And you can see he's trying to find balls sometimes. He's not trying, And I think,
no, agreed. Yeah, I agree.
And I think sometimes because he gets dispossessed quite a bit, he looks at different passes when the more obvious one, simple one is on. But they're all things that can be ironed out, But I don't think it's going to be with us where he irons them out. I don't either. I don't see a footballer there. I think he's destined to go back to MLS, and he'll have a fairly decent career over there because the level that he'll be playing at shit. And just working hard will be enough over there. So as long as he keeps his fitness up, then he'll be a success in a league where success is just being able to run more than the opposition. Because he doesn't have any level of capability beyond that. I think that's harsh.
If you actually look him up on SofaScore, his weaknesses are aerial duels and ball control, and his strengths are no outstanding strengths. I can't say it any more than that.
Okay. All right. That's Can't argue with that. Okay.
The one thing I would say though is if you consider the players that either aren't fit enough to start or aren't ready or just aren't considered as starters, Gilavogi I think is one of those that might not be considered as a starter, but he's very important around the squad, mentality wise, in the warm ups, in the training. He'll be important, but equally to bring somebody on towards the tail end of a game, and I don't think I've seen him miss a tackle yet, and he doesn't give the ball away much. But Ampadu as well, he's clearly not fit yet, otherwise he'd be playing. There were a question before about Ampadu's going to come back in, who moves forward, Tanaka or Rothwell. I'm really worried. Not because it'll be Strike that gets displaced if he goes into the defence, but that means Arrington will continue playing. And I think Arrington harms us more than Strike at the moment. Even those Strikes had 2 really bad games. Because I'm desperate to see Arrington drops. Now I want Nonto to go in there, or Ramazani. I want Solomon and I want James Wide. If one of the others is in the middle, but ultimately, and I thought Solomon played really well when he came on.
Yeah,
I don't think he did anything
well,
wrong.
didn't he?
He did, and if you look at the goal, it's his passage of play that then released Dan James that crossed that in for the ball to go in. So I think from a perspective of the 2 goals, Solomon good build up. Dan James did well to get the ball in the way that he did. He put it in quite high, hoping that somebody would get their head on it. We don't play that kind of football. When he played it in low, we got a bit of joy out of it. Bamford should have scored. Joseph should have scored. Defender scored. But when you look at the goal we conceded, and Bogle's poor in defence. He was caught ball watching. His man got beyond him. All right, he shinned it in. But do you know what? He needed to get into the position to be able to shin it in, and he did.
Yeah.
Strike's been paced by one of the slowest players I've ever seen. So, when you look at the balance of the goals, the thing is, when they've got into a good position, they've crossed it in and they've scored. How often does it happen that we cross it in or we get into a dangerous position and it kind of peters out a little bit and it just doesn't go anywhere, and we recycle it comes back into midfield, it goes back to defence, it goes out wide, no joy there, so we're going to recycle it again, it's going to come back into midfield, and it's slow, it's drab, it's predictable. That might be one of the reasons the atmosphere has been so poor, but we have to find a way to hurt sides when we're on top. And I know that Farker just wants to dominate possession. That's fine when you're winning all your games, but away from home, it's just not working at the moment.
Yeah, you make a point there. He wants to hold on to possession all the time. We seem to, for the last 20 minutes of that game, really hold the ball, quite well in dangerous areas of the pitch. It just seems to be that one thing, that one pass, that one flick. We don't seem to have that, and I think we are getting into good positions. It's just it's frustrating to watch, because you're kind of going, the run's there, the run is there, make that run, and no one's making the run, and you're like, I can see it from here. How are they not making the run? And then I think Solomon coming on was, how long did he get? About 12 minutes, if even 11 minutes, maybe.
Yeah, something like that. Yeah,
the subs need to be earlier. I can't suffer with the 70-minute subs. If something needs changing at half time, change it. We can all see it needed changing.
Do you remember Bielsa taking Calvin off after about 28 minutes?
Yeah,
it wasn't working, and I don't think he'd already said to Calvin, "You're my man. Yeah. You are going to be one of the best players in this division, if not the best, if you do what I tell you to do."
Yeah.
And half an hour into the game, he's whipped him off because it's not working. And if it's not working, change it. And if that's changing personnel, changing formation, it doesn't really matter. Just change it if it's not working, because if it's not working, you have to change it. Now, Bielsa's plan B was plan A, but better. But sometimes that was with different personnel. So change it up. Yeah. We've got quality. At the moment, we've talked about my worries about our squad depth, but at the moment, we've got quality on the bench. So make a change if it's not working. Do something different.
I'm very much the same, and I think at fullback, I think as much as Aronson needs to be taken out of the firing line at the moment, I think Bogle could do with maybe coming out. He hasn't, covered himself in glory now a few games. Like he was very poor down at Blackburn. I thought yesterday, again, we've touched on it. It wasn't great. Like now I know we're kind of stuck for players in that position, but if you can get a good 60, 65 minutes maybe out of Isaac Schmidt and put him in there and just see what he can do. We need, like you said, we need something fresh.
You could put Byram at right back if you weren't going to play Bogle, and you could put, I think Schmidt's more a left back than a right back in. I know that Byram's played more at left back than he has right back, but he's comfortable at either. I think, the only thing about that is, one, Farke doesn't seem to trust Schmidt, and two, he's just coming back from a hernia. You saw, Ruta last season. Ruta's a machine. He's a unit. He's a strong boy. And he was so poor when he came back from his hernia, having been so good and got so many assists and been really good and really dangerous on the ball. That you're in a position where you're thinking, well, if the rushing back is going to then break down, so they've got to introduce him quite slowly. But Farke doesn't seem to rate him anyway. When he brings him on at the wing. Well, we don't need him at wing. We've got loads of wingers. Well,
that's the thing as well. I think he definitely needs to play at fullback because that's where he's played previously. There has to be something there. It can't be just, he's recovering from this hernia now and he's recovering from that. That has to come to an end at some point, and you have to start showing trust in the lad. Like, we're not, like, I don't
He's only about 3 or 4 weeks out of his hernia, though, isn't he? It's not like it's been ages.
Yeah, well, that's the thing as well. Danny, in the comments here, says it as well. He's Schmidt has had a sports hernia, and a doctor said he needs bedding. Won't get 90 minutes for a few more weeks yet. I'm okay with that, Danny. Yeah, that's sound. But get him on 60 minutes. Freshen things up. He's a player that looks very capable anytime he's come on for me. Did he get an assist for Peru in one of the games there? That classed as an assist, and he looked fairly lively. Wanted to get on the ball, wanted to try and influence things a little bit further forward, and he looked tidy. Get him on at 60 minutes. Let him have at least that.
Talking about players and maybe not being used in the right positions, my head's just completely fallen off at this one. What? Paul Atkinson says, as Aronson runs around a lot, not much of a pass or shot on him, but can tackle, could he not do a Batty type role for us and win the ball for Rothwell or Tanaka to use? I mean, he's put a big smiley laughing face at the end, which I'm really glad of, because I'd not noticed that when I first saw it, because my head had completely gone at reading that. Go on, I'll let you go.
That won't work. He can't battle for the ball strong enough further up the pitch. How's he going to do it against another Batty type player in the middle of the park? He's not going to. That won't work.
Yeah. I think, when you look at the amount he gives the ball away, the further away he is from goal, the better for me. Because if you're going to play him, he's going to give the ball away a lot. So, he has to be as far away from the goal as you can make that, doesn't he? But he did put a cry laughing emoji at the end, so, benefit of the doubt.
yeah, we'll give him that, because the way it can get lost in translation in a text, so that's the way it is. We'll just go through a few of these comments here, Gilly, and just see what the crack is, all right?
Yeah.
So we've got Herbert there. Dare I say it, to our shame, that we're sometimes naive. What do you think?
We are. I think, when the dark arts, let's say, when we're being old manned, when the dark arts are being employed against us, it's like we just accept that we can't do anything about it. And you're like, come on, you've got to be in a position where you can do something about that. If you're getting old manned, what you want to do is you want to get on the ball and you want to use pace against them. Now, we've got pace to burn across our team. We have. So if you're getting old manned, you need to play in a different way. And I agree, actually. I think we are too naive. That doesn't mean too honest. I don't want to see us dive in the way that Preston were. But I think that there is an element that they were also dirty. Osmar should have been sent off twice. Yeah. He got Melia sent off for nothing last year, diving. So, I don't want to see that. I don't like that. We all laugh at an ailing flop. But at least there's a foul in that. But yeah, so for me, there's definitely a touch of naivety about it, but at the same time, that's something to overcome. Not just let somebody get away with it. It's almost like, and I know the referee plays a part here. He was very, 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 very poor. Absolutely bottle job. The entire thing, because they should have been down at 9. I don't think that there's much of an argument against that. But we let that happen as well. Yeah, the problem is the other side to it is you're in a position where you do something about it, not to retaliate, but later in the game, and then you get punished, and you're like, well, shouldn't have done that. That was stupid. So it is difficult to find that balance.
Hopefully, run of games now around Christmas, maybe we'll find that balance fairly lively. Steve Brown is in the comments as well. Irish Dave, despite poor performance, we created enough chances, clear chances to win. Aronson should score. DJ hits the bar. Bamford must score from a yard out. I was going to say,
God.
Yeah, well...
do you remember it? The one when he's free box in first half?
Yeah. I watched extended highlights there before we came on, just a bit of an old refresh, and that was one of the ones they showed. And I know I've been kind of, defending him a little bit and, whatever, but it does bobble at the wrong time when you see it. It really does, man. When you look at it,
I don't think it does. It were bouncing all along. So if you're not aware of it happening, then surely that's the read of the ball.
Yeah, maybe. DJ hitting the crossbar as well. Like, that was an absolutely phenomenal shot. The comment that Bell End co-commentator, what's his name? Fucking.
Well, it depends which you watched it on.
Sky.
No, I did watch it on Sky, but I can't remember who it. You want Andy? What's it? What it?
It was, yeah.
I can't remember what it.
Yeah, he was a fucking idiot, man. Said it took a nick. I was like, nah, that's not taking a nick. We saw what he did. Did it? I don't think it did.
Yeah, no, it took a deflection, because I think that's flying into top corner if it doesn't.
Okay, right, fair enough then. He's still a prick, though.
Andy Inchcliffe, yeah.
That's the one.
Yeah.
And Bamford must score from a yard out. Yeah, like, we had that
Did you see
earlier.
what Popey, was it Popey? Oh, it might have been Graham. No, I think it was Popey. It said that it had an XG of 0.98.
Oh, I did, yeah. That was bad, that. Like, Bryn is in the comments here, 2-foot and Meslier. It's hardly an anomaly. Meslier fucks up again.
Yeah, so it was me that used the word anomaly, but what I meant was in balance of that specific game. We were well in contention. We looked like we'd won the game. We were well worth the 3 points. And then it were an anomaly that there was a fuck up in the game where we'd looked in such control. That's what I meant.
Yeah. Lee, odd jobs. Oh, you Lee. Gilly, you're a bit unfair on Aronson, I guess. You really need to ask the sausage who picks the squad. Never mind the team. Nonto was a lazy wanker. Right, Gilly, unpack that there now.
So, yeah, we'll do a bit there. I don't think I am unfair on Aronson. I think he's absolutely shy, and I think he harms us by being on the pitch at all. I am critical of Farker for picking the squad. Well, actually, I'm critical of 49ers for the mess they've made of the squad, and I'm critical of Farker for picking him in the team. Nonto is a lazy wanker. I think he's an old trope. I don't think he has been recently. I think he's been less whingy. He's been less throwing himself on the floor. When he has done, he's got himself back up again reasonably quickly most of the time. There's still a little bit there, but he's improved on that. I think his work rate is not it's questionable, really. I think he's worked really hard this season.
Yeah,
It's not like when he first came in and you saw him and Somerville just not tracking back at all at times. I don't think we see that from him anymore.
No, he's whoever he's playing in front of, he seems to have a good understanding of how to play with the player. Like he was very, very good with Verber on that left hand side as well against who was it against? Middlesbrough.
Yes.
And he was fantastic in that game as well. Got his deserved goal, and I thought his output's quite good, but.
And the running around and the people talk about the press that Aronson has, but if we're dominating the ball so much, why does it matter how much we press the opposition? If you're exceeding 70% possession, surely that 30 and bits percent that the opposition has, the team should be able to cope without having somebody that's just a headless chicken and does nothing else.
Yeah,
it's not. It's not.
I think Nonto is more than stepped up. Every player has an off game. You can't have good games every game. he's definitely one of our top performers. There's no doubt in that. Like,
yeah, I agree.
Smarty is in the comments. Owie Smart. Preston shouldn't have scored. We're weak defensively. Should be going in on the defence. However, we're constantly talking about our attacking players and how a few of them are ineffective.
I mean, he made that point while I was having a go at strike. So he probably started typing before I'd finished, before I'd done that. But Bogle was poor. I thought Byron were fairly poor. But strike were really bad, especially for the goal. I mean, it were really poor. But Brins also made the point that there's so many times that strikes come flying out of defence and not done what he needs to do in order for that not to leave a gaping chasm in the defence. And Rodon's quick, and he's good at reading the play, and he's good at covering strike, but he can't do everything. He's not Superman.
Yeah, that's the thing as well. And I think Strike, although he's probably told to get tight to his man, I think in that particular scenario he was a little too tight. I think he should have given him time to get a touch and kind of face Strike rather than get as touch tight as he did, because your man just rolled Strike and Strike slips and then never regains it then after that.
Yeah.
Like, so I think it's
but when it's somebody so slow, surely you can back off. It's not like,
that's what I mean, that's what I'm saying, like,
it's not like they're going to turn and then pace you.
Yeah, he should have given him time to receive the ball, because he wasn't in a dangerous area by any means. He was in the middle of the park. Yeah, and it was in the middle of the park. So you're kind of like, step off, invite him into your half, but give him them yards so that, like, he's a shit footballer. Let him come at you. You're intelligent enough as a centre back to be able to handle someone of that standard coming at you. Yeah. So these are all things that should probably be picked up on by Farke, and probably will be, let's be honest.
Well, do you know what? They've got enough data analysts and they've got enough people watching those games and giving him the breakdown that you can't miss it. If he chooses to do nothing about it, it's a choice. It's not made missed.
Well, that's the thing. Like, because if we as fans can see it, then bloody hell, like, surely their highly paid analysts can. Lee Oddjobs, Gilly, the noise is getting louder, my friend. Getting a lot louder. I'm 50-50 if Farke stays.
Lee, if you could just calm it down on the caps, though, that'd be good.
Shouting.
Lee's not the only one on this. Jay's said that he's not Farke out yet, but he's starting to lose faith in it. It's really strange, especially when we're in the top two.
Yeah, I think it's mental.
and when you look at our home run, it is really strange. But at the same time, the away form is so poor that it's giving people the chance to go, this isn't good enough, we need to make a change. Now, if he can't change and won't change, then is it going to be him that gets changed? And you end up being a victim of change rather than an agent of it if you're in his shoes. I don't. I still now. I know that this will set Bryn on fire, but I still now think that Farke is the best option we've got for promotion, because I've got no faith in the board bringing in somebody better at this point.
Again, I know I was going to repeat it. Who do you bring in?
And we can name some players, but whether that board can land them or not is...
Oh, no, but I'm saying as in a manager, if you sack Farke, who are you bringing in?
Yeah.
Like, we're back to bleeding sacking Jesse and then fucking pumping around looking for bleeding managers that are going to take the job and hope they get us up. I don't get that mentality, man. Just stick with it. Like, Danny is here. He must be talking to Steve. He's basically going, or go back to 4-1-4-1.
Well, we could do it before, and if you look at Ampadu, I think that he's got the quality to be able to do what Calvin used to. He might not have the quality to go to Champions League level once promoted or what have you, but I think that Ampadu's perfectly capable of doing what Calvin did in the Championship.
Absolutely.
He can pass them balls, he can win that, he can dominate the midfield in the same way, especially if he's got Roffel and Tanaka in front of him. I quite like the idea, whether somebody's got the running, the mentality, the playmaking ability, the sheer running, I'll go back to it again, the running of Dallas and Click in midfield, that's asking a lot to be able to match what they did. He's asking a lot, especially the goal outputs and the assists and, the way that they dominated games with their running power. and they had Pablo there with them, picking them out and whatever else. But it needs that. And I think if you've got Ampadu playing in that holding role, and you've got in effect 2 8s in front of him, why not?
Yeah, I don't see why not. Like it's again, we talked about freshening things up. Why not try and freshen things up a little bit that way?
It gets us in a position where not only do we not have Aronson, but what we should be doing is absolutely dominating midfield.
We should be overrunning midfield. Like that's where we can be most dangerous and get players further forward into the game. Like that's blatantly obvious.
It does mean less emphasis on the fullbacks getting forward, but given how poor they've been in defence, that's probably not the worst thing.
Yeah, but that's the thing as well. If they don't have to worry about tracking back so much, then it might be a good thing to shore up the defence a little bit. Who knows? We're not managers. We're a fucking podcast who talk on a bleeding stream and hope to God it changes. And finally, we've got one more from Lee Odd Jobs. Gilly, what's your agenda with Aronson? Open your eyes. Piro, what a waste of space. You're blind. Blind drunk on Saturday night, perhaps.
Oh, big time.
Fucking yes.
So we'll unpack that again. He has been in the comments, and the caps have stopped.
Yeah.
But I also said that Piro were completely transparent and dead weight. Maybe he wasn't with us right at the top of the pod, but I think he wasn't effective at all. That's absolutely true to say. That doesn't mean, but he's still our top scorer. Now people might come back at, well, Aronson's our second top scorer. Yeah. Well, he should be. He's played a lot more football in attack than anybody else. Yeah. He should be up there with that. The ball hit him and goes in again, from Tanaka, that he knew nothing about. Fine. Yeah, great. But, for him to have, what is it, still now one assist all season, playing in the 10, every game, all of the game, it's not good enough. No, I wasn't defending Piro by slating Aronson. I'm slating Aronson and I'm saying Piro wasn't good enough either.
Yeah. Piro's been way off it. Way off it. Like, I just want to maybe touch on Ramazani a bit, Gilly. We're getting on to nearly 45 minutes here, and I don't know how the hell we've managed it again. But just on Ramazani, you mentioned him earlier on, potentially coming in. I think he's far more effective on the wing than in the 10. And I think...
we haven't really seen him at 10, have we? We've only seen him mix it up a little bit.
Yeah, I get that. But just from what I've seen of him on the wing, I think he'd be far better placed on the wing and to maybe have Nonto in the middle, or, take Aronson out altogether and just put fucking Ampadu back in midfield and Tanaka and Rothwell. And then
there's all sorts of ways you can change it. I think the only constant is that it needs to change.
Yeah, that's the only positive there, really, isn't it? Scooby's in the comments here again. How are you, Scoob? 3 centre halves and a big DM. Before season, I wanted Chris Wood. He's a donkey, they said. Guess what? Right now, we need donkey football. Stag solid, kick 'em strong at set pieces. Yeah, well, look at prime example of that. The reason I brought this up is because we were talking about January and needing a 9 and a 10, or John Newsom said needing a 9 and a 10.
Yeah.
Look what benefit Ipswich had out of getting Kiefer Moore last year in January. You know what I mean? He was an absolute menace, man. The amount, how many late goals did he get for them?
Did you see him against
6 minutes? Yeah, but that was against us, against teams that we should be beat. But this is what I'm saying: against teams that we should be beating. He's that type of player, because Ipswich went into games that they should be beating, going, right, he's getting the ones we need there now. So maybe something like that in January. I was talking to a lad in work.
I mean,
today.
Chris Wood's a very different player, given that he's going to cost you 20 million.
Yeah, he's a battering ram, but he's solid, I was talking to.
It's all right saying you want Chris Wood at the start of the season, but you don't get him.
No. I was talking to a guy in work today, and we were chatting about wanting a number 10, and
would you sign Kiefer Moore now if he were offered?
No, because
Because he's shit.
Well, he wouldn't blend with our team. Like we need
We need somebody good on the ball.
Yeah, that's what I mean. Like, and he's not. He's good in the air. That's it.
What?
What?
I'm not having that at all.
Moving on.
Yeah. Dr. Cox, for the audio listeners, Dr. Cox says Chris Wood is a Viduka type of player. I'm not having that. Bryn says he wanted more but was laughed at by Gilly. Yeah, absolutely. That's because Moore's shit. I won't want him now, even though he went to Ipswich and they got promoted last season. I didn't want him then. I don't want him now. I'm not disappointed we didn't get him then.
I want a number 10, but I don't want us to buy one. I want us to maybe go after Buendia again. He's not getting game time at Villa. I think
we spoke about Buendia a few times, haven't we? I think we know that he would be mega at this level.
Oh man, I think if we went back in now, as opposed to the start of the season, say give us him for the next 4 or 5 months, we'll get him fit for you, and you can see what he's got, or potentially have a clause to buy. We need someone like that. And I'm not just saying it because he's an ex-FARC player. He's
but
the
that
type,
does help.
It does help, but he's the type of player that we need in that 10 role. He's aggressive on the ball. He's strong on the ball. Even if we didn't get a 9, he'd be absolutely ideal to have with Joseph or Pirro or Bamford up front. He'd be absolutely unreal. Where you were saying that Joseph is dropping quite deep to pick up the ball, which is 100% factual, Buendia is that player that can burst in behind and be that aggressor with the ball, Now, I know it's a pipe dream trying to get a hold of him, but I think we probably have a better chance of getting him on loan now because he's getting 0 game time. 0,
Yeah.
And I think this is the opportunity to go and just 2-foot Villa and go, look, we'll pay all his wages. Whatever. You know what I mean? And just get him in the door. Bryn's
I don't disagree.
Bryn is there as well. Look, Ferguson on loan from Brighton. And Ayemi from Forest. Yeah, that one. From Forest on loan. I don't think we have a hope in hell of getting Ferguson. I really don't. We've taken too much money off Brighton now, and they won't let us have any more of their toys.
Maybe not.
Yeah. So yeah, I from this podcast we realised that we need to freshen things up. Take Aronson out and decide who the fuck is going to play in there, whether it be Nanto, Ramazani, even Solomon. Did someone put in earlier on there that Solomon can do a job in the number 10?
Yeah.
I thought I saw someone say it there.
Yeah, with Bryn, I think.
Was it Bryn? Yeah. Oh well then. Oh yeah, there he is there. Look. Solomon in 10, he's got the rain and good range of passing. See, I think him and Nanto are probably the 2 most ideal candidates for that 10 role for me, perfectly.
Yeah, honest. I mean, I think if you play 3 of Ramazani, Solomon, James and Nanto, and one of them's coming in on 70 minutes or whatever fresh, and he wants to rotate, so rotate him, fine. Aronson's there as a serious emergency kind of player to come from the bench if he's needed. You've got 3 options, albeit none of them looking good enough right now up front in Pirro, Joseph and Bamford. But you've got 4 that are going to get you goals. They are going to get you goals, and they look dangerous, and they can interchange. They can move around, pull the defense all over. Make them unsettled. Don't play in front of them, and don't stay static in your positions. Put James on left for a little bit, put Nanto on right for a little bit, drop Ramazani in the middle, and then switch it up again. Just keep them guessing. That in itself is going to put them on the back foot, and then when you get on the ball and you're running at them, it's going to work.
Well, that's the other thing as well. Like on Saturday, they had a guy following Dan James all over the pitch.
Yeah.
He went to the left, your man went to the left, James went back to the right, he went to the right. Imagine dragging 2, potentially 3 players all over the back line of their defence and not knowing where they are. Like, you could nearly guarantee that if you had the likes of James, Ramazani or Solomon and Nanto all kind of interchanging from that, a lot of the time there's going to be, a defender told, stick with him like glue. We saw it with Dan James on Saturday, stick with him like glue. Imagine if you have 3 players that you're trying to tell a defender, stick to them. Don't let them drop off. Don't let them get in that space in between the lines. You're dragging them all over the place, and it's something that we probably should be doing a lot more of. And again, it just goes back to, I think that's where the frustration is coming from with the fan base.
Scooby says that tactic's fine for Saturday and midweek. Come the following Saturday, that won't work.
Why? Is it just...
I'm not following.
No, I'm just wondering why. Like, why wouldn't it work if it was working fine on Saturday and midweek?
I don't know.
Lee is in the comments there again.
Oh, yeah, go on.
Sorry, man. A change of formation is needed away from home. I'm sick of rinse and repeat, guys. I work my arse off and stick from here.
I reckon he's talking about getting stick off his missus for going to games.
Yeah. That's it. Sorry, you were going to pop one up there.
Just Paul Brennan says, I just hope the 49ers are going to do things behind the scenes in January, getting a couple of quality signings, a number 10 and number 9, and don't faff about if they want promotion. I hope the same. I don't expect the same. I don't think they will. I'll be really surprised if we bring anybody in at all. But if they do, it'll be a loan coming in. And I'm not saying I'm against the idea of Buendia. I don't see that happening. I see it being maybe a young player from a Premier League team that's not broken into first team yet. Maybe somebody like that. And that's really not what we need. We want somebody coming in that's got pedigree at this level, because it's not an easy division.
That's my biggest fear, that if we do go out, like as promising as this young McAtee lad looks at Man City, I like you hit the nail on the head there, Gilly, man. It's like we need the experience already there. We don't have 4 months for him to gain it so that he can go back to Man City. We need that in there now. And I think Roland, our mate in New Mexico, man, he's hit the nail on the head here with this one. What we really need more than a 10 is a better way for him. Can we buy that in January? Jesus, I don't know. Maybe the 49ers could buy away for him by bringing in a number 10.
Maybe so.
You never know.
So.
You never know.
But then Herbert says centre forward's the most competitive market. We'd be lucky to land a decent one in Jan. That's the job of the board, to go and sell. That's the job of Farker, to go and sell what it is that we're doing this season. And if you look at where we are already, and you look at the impact somebody coming in that can get goals would have, Will Saw. It's a 10 for me more than a 9 that we need, but there's an argument to say we need both.
Yeah.
One thing I just wanted to touch on, and I'm sorry, I keep dragging it back to the game.
Well, that's bad. That's what the pod is about.
Yeah. How obvious was it made by Whitball and Withoutball for the referee that he'd really fucked up when they took Whiteman off at half time?
Yeah. Straight away.
Tells it all, doesn't it?
Man, it says it all when Dermot Gallagher is standing on that ref watch on Sky Sports and saying, I don't understand how he's not got sent off there.
Is that what he said?
Man, they never say anything in our favour at all. And he's literally gone, I don't know how he's not got sent off there. It's a second yellow card, like.
And Osmajic didn't get sent off for kicking out at Rodon.
Yeah.
Now that can get missed. Fair. But
fucking
hell, that second yellow for Whiteman. No.
But like the other thing is as well, like we shouldn't be in a position where we're kind of going, if they'd have gone down to 10 men, we should be fucking whooping them, and that's it. End of, game over, fuck off, back to fucking wherever you are living in Preston, you knobheads. And that should be it. It shouldn't be a case of, well, they should have had a man sent off. Bollocks. We should be beating them teams, and that's it.
Scooby's lost this. Was he the one they bellyached for red card for? He wins the ball, it's not even a free kick. Winning the ball don't matter. Look at what happened with Liam Cooper against Man City.
Yeah.
Cleanly took the ball, caught the man on the follow through.
Yeah.
And that was 4 seasons ago now? You know, that's been what the ruling has been for a long time, and that was much more out of control than Liam Cooper's was.
Well, he was off the ground as well.
I don't necessarily believe that should be a bucket, but in today's football, it is, regardless of my opinion on it.
Yeah. But the rules nowadays,
just apply the rules as they should be applied, as they are written. It's absolutely a Stonewall yellow card, if not a straight red in and of itself.
That's the thing. So, yeah, I think there's been a lot of good kind of talking points in the comments there tonight, and there was definitely quite a few to be talked about in general. Are you looking forward to Saturday, Gilly? We'll touch on it briefly before we hit the road.
Oxford.
Yeah, they've just sacked their manager, haven't they?
Just sacked their manager. I were fancying a 4-0 against them, but they've just sacked their manager, so I might need to revise that. You know how it goes.
Absolutely.
How many times have we said it? Even tonight at home, we're a different proposition, aren't we? I'm not worried about this one. I'm worried about Stoke.
Yeah, Boxing Day. That's going to be an absolute dirty one.
We're always shit on Boxing Day.
Don't like. At least we're at home on New Year's Day. We can suffer the hangover at home and only have a 20-minute fucking walk to get back home to the gaff and die on the couch.
Exactly.
Yeah, so I think we might wrap it up there, Gilly. Thanks.
Who were your man at match?
My man of the match. I'd have probably gone with Dan James, to be fair. Just he was just the one that impressed me the most.
He was the one that we're going to make the difference. Albeit Solomon did play well when he came on. I thought Ramazani were okay, but through the game, I thought it was Dan James. Yeah,
not enough time on the pitch to be awarded any kind of serious contention for man of the match. How about you? Who was yours before we go?
Yeah, I said it earlier in pod. It was Dan James.
Yeah, it's got to be like this. He's playing at a different level now this season. Properly maturing as a player as well, which is great. And his end product is it's absolutely belter at the moment. Like, you know,
it is. Bryn makes a point. Blackburn Boxing Day almost class, double roofing 90+ minutes. Yeah, but I'm still haunted by Forest.
Forever haunted by the Forest. You're on tomorrow night, Gilly, are you?
I don't think I am. There was a potential for it to swap. We've got Luke. We're going to be doing this, and then he's doing mine tomorrow because he couldn't do tonight.
Yeah.
But we've got a bit of a special guest planned for tomorrow. So we'll see. But I think what I might do is pass some questions across because I'm struggling a little bit for the tomorrow one. So
me too.
So but it'll be a good one though.
Yeah, hopefully Smarty can get back to me in the comments in the WhatsApp.
See you in the group chat.
See you in the group chat and maybe let me know what the beef is, you know. Look, thanks very much for joining us, all the comments and all that as well. We really do appreciate you coming along and listen to us talk waffle and give us some good talking points. And if you don't know already, like, subscribe, share about. If you see us retweeting it on the owl interwebs, then give it an owl like there if you don't mind. And thanks very much for coming along. Gilly?
One couple of last things. The first one is, I don't know if you've seen this yet, but there's a new channel thing out, LUFC Cinema, I think it's called. The first one focuses on Stewie D. It's only 20 minutes long. It's brilliant.
Oh, it's class.
So if you haven't seen it, go watch it. And just the other one, I know that they'll do it tomorrow night anyway, but just a real quick AMC update.
Okay.
The Recovery Runners is every Wednesday evening, meet at 5:45 for 6 p.m. start. That's at 5 Ways at the Recovery Academy on Westfield Road in Woodhouse. And there's a monthly walk and talk on New Year's Eve at Temple Newsom Park. Meet at 11 a.m. outside the tea rooms. 6 venues in Leeds, calling for a brew and a chat. 7 till 9 every Monday, barring bank holidays.
Excellent stuff. And lads, just tough time of the year.
It is.
Just
absolutely.
Don't bottle it up. Think about it. Talk about it. And we'll catch you tomorrow.
See you, pals.